Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight Rand Kelly is back. We are going to tackle part 2 of our Camel Series tonight. We're going to take a look at the years 1977 to 1981. We want to hear from you in the chat. Let's do it.
Grant's Rock Warehouse, now with the look and feel of hand-tooled leather.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight Rand Kelly is back. We are continuing, ladies and gentlemen, our Camel Series. It's been a while. When was the last Camel show we did, Rand?
About 8 months.
No, it wasn't 8 months ago.
I gotta do is look at YouTube. Yeah.
Was it 8 months?
By the way, I put that show up on the Camel the Camel.
What happened
on Facebook? They accepted it.
All right, cool. Well, anyway, 8 months in between episodes, so we'll do another episode in 8 months. Hey, things happen, so we're doing it now. So tonight, I don't have to go into all the song and dance because we've already done that. Go check out the first episode that we did where we looked at Camel, Mirage, Snow Goose, Moonmadness. So tonight we're looking at Rain Dances, Breathless, I Can See Your House From Here, and Nude. So we're going to do this in an hour. We're keeping it real in the feel. Rand Kelly's ready. His glasses are steamed up. He is ready to rap some Camel. So, Rand, how are you? Nice to see you again. Well, you were just here. We just did a show. We did Argent.
Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I had fun on that.
It was a good show. This might not be as good. Argent was pretty damn good. But we'll give it a shot.
Camel?
How can you go wrong on Argent?
All you got to do with Camel is just show the album.
Go ahead. Start us off.
This is 1977's Rain Dances, and this album is a freaking masterpiece.
Why? I mean, but why, Rand? Why is it a masterpiece?
Well, for one thing, they made a personnel change. Doug Ferguson is out on bass, and if you happen to be a Hatfield in the North fan or National Health, you can see that's right. Oh, wait, he's not on National Health. Never mind.
Oh, shit.
Caravan, Richard Sinclair. And
Richard Sinclair.
He took over for bass and lead vocals, and everything changed with this band. It just it was a notch up a little bit.
So you think because he came onto this band that he gave them a boost?
Well, I don't know if it's a boost in sales. It's a boost in artistic.
Well, just the way they come off on the album.
Yeah, I mean, the musicianship got boosted. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's face it. When you have a fretless bass player who can sing lead and he doesn't really have any problems doing it, I can't do it. I can do one or the other, but I can't.
Damn it, you can do it.
Richard Sinclair is a magician. I mean, he is so good.
Okay.
And he just makes this whole album just sound different than the other four. I hate to say, I know there's eras of this band, mm-hmm. and the one constant is the guitar player, Andy Latimer.
Brilliant.
It's like King Crimson and Robert Fripp. There's no King Crimson.
I always find Andy very David Gilmour-like. He's
so tasty. Mm-hmm. This guy's got to be the most underrated guitar player ever. Nobody ever talks about him.
No.
In the polls and in the, my favorite guitar players are blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. You don't see anything about Andy Latimer.
Yeah, and I just find that odd.
I don't
but
know
he's not but Randy's not one of those guys that's real flashy. He's tasteful. And, most of the monkeys out there in the world, like someone like Eddie Van Halen or Yngwie, that just totally have no soul. The thing with Andy Latimer, he has a lot of soul, very, very tasteful. His guitar parts always seem very well thought out to me.
Yeah, very melodic, and he plays what the song needs, not what he wants to shove into the song.
Exactly.
He accentuates.
He plays
to
the song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he plays to the song, and sometimes it's fast, and sometimes it's not. I mean, he could play rings around David Gilmour as far as speed goes, but he doesn't do it very often. But when he wants to, he can. It's just that he's more concerned with how does my guitar fit in with the song, with the tone, the sustain, and the melodies that I choose or the solos that I choose. And he just seems to hit it perfect. I mean, when guitar players listen to this guy, they take notice. If once they find out about him, they go, "Oh my God, that guy in Camel, he's unreal." Just because he's, I don't know,
Well, just to
so
kind of
good.
go backwards a bit, I don't know if we really touched on this on the other episode, but how was
You
he
might not.
used, or like this is 1977? How
Yeah,
was he viewed at the time as like a guitar player?
they're one of those band. He was one of these guitar players where people go, like they start naming off all the great guitar players of the period, and he's like, "Oh, that guy. Yeah, I've heard him. He's good." But they don't go. My favorite guitar players are Andrew Latimer, Steve Howe. You know what I mean? It just
Right.
he's not even
He
he's
doesn't
not
pop
even
up
in
in
the
the
first 20.
conversation. Yeah, I get
He might not even be in the first 50. I don't know. But when I first heard Camel, I was like, oh man, my ears just I heard Mirage and I just thought, well, this is amazing. But in 74, it was just there was prog everywhere. We were just calling it at that time, we were just calling it just another rock band that absolutely blows your mind.
right.
It didn't
Yeah,
really
because
have these terms.
prog wasn't a
That
term.
term came around much later. I mean, I've said it many times. Somebody
Wasn't it
started
Ken
calling it,
Golden that came up with that?
no, 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 no. Somebody started calling this music progressive rock, and it kind of put everybody in a different room. You had classic rock,
Mhm.
but then it wasn't classic rock because it was just hard rock or rock. And then you had pop and you had rock. And then there's this other term that people were calling progressive rock, and there wasn't anything else. And then all of a sudden, the radio started playing disco, and
Oh
then
boy.
punk came along, and progressive kind of went the way of disco when the punk revolution happened. And I always look at that as the end of the art. 1967 to 1977 is pretty much for the most of the bands that were trying to play adventurous, different, I mean,
Progressive
like
music.
early Genesis, Foxtrot and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
This stuff was never going to get played on the radio. And when the radio said, we can't play this on the radio, so therefore we're going to play the songs that we can play on the radio. And then all of a sudden, the progressive rock just went bye-bye. You could buy it in the stores if you knew what you were looking for. But God, the critics hated this music.
Well, Rolling
All these,
Stone was never a big fan.
no, Jan Winter is the reason. But uh, they hated Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They hated Yes. They hated
Well,
early
I don't
Genesis.
know, Rand, because you go back in those Rolling Stone album guys, those Yes albums get really high stars. Not all of them. When it starts out with the Yes album up, I don't think Rolling Stone
Well,
hated
it
Yes.
depends on the critic. I mean, you had a stable of critics. It wasn't just one person's opinion on every issue.
Mhm.
There were different people, and some people liked it and some people didn't. But anyway, just to kind of roll us back into Camel,
See, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, you've
we had
heard
a
that this
rangent.
channel goes on tangents. That was a tangent right
No, that
out of
was
the
a
gate.
rangent.
That was a rangent.
When
All
I'm
right,
on,
Rand,
it's a rangent.
100%. So,
Yeah.
this
So
album, all the tracks were written by Pete Bardens and Andrew Latimer. What's your thoughts on this whole record?
I love it. I love it. This was not a disappointment. This was, I mean,
You think
a
that
lot of
this was
people,
just a logical progression from where the
yeah.
band was before, from Mirage and
Well, you think about it now. Doug Ferguson's a fine bass player on the first four albums. He doesn't do anything wrong. He plays the songs very well. But for some reason, the band and him just sort of had some kind of a glitch, a falling out, whatever you want to call it. And then all of a sudden, Richard Sinclair isn't doing anything because he just broke up with Hatfield in the North. They weren't doing anything, and he was just kind of like, you know, sitting around gardening or whatever, and they called him up
He
and
was
said,
sitting around gardening.
well, maybe, you know, the Canterbury thing, but they just called him out of the blue, you know. And again, the rock press back then didn't report on any of this, and so when somebody would go to the record store and they would buy this, and they'd look on the back, and it wasn't this blurry looking thing here. It was actually this picture that I showed before. This was the back of the album, and when you could see that Richard Sinclair from Caravan is in the band now, people that liked Caravan and Hatfield in the North were going, oh, well, God, I got to buy this new Camel just to see what the hell he's doing. And he is doing a lot. And I mean, he really floats this album to a much higher level than I think Moonmadness, although I do love Moonmadness. I don't think there's anything wrong with that album.
No.
First four are just fantastic albums. But I just think it could have gone all wrong losing their bass player. It could, you know, because that happens sometimes, you know. You put in another guy and it doesn't work. This worked. I mean, this was like turning fool's gold into gold. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, you know, as I listen to these things, I have to say, I think that Mirage is probably, I don't want to go out there and say that, but, well, Mirage I always thought was pretty much the peak, but I think this might have beaten Mirage. I think this might be the peak. I think this is where everything really come together.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the set of songs that Barden and Latimer wrote, this, I really do think this is probably the peak. You got Rhett Davies' production on here.
Yeah, I don't know where he came from.
Huh?
Did he produce Moonmadness too? I think he did. But
he did.
What I was going to say was 1977 was a really strange year for music. I mean, there was going to be a jump off point from artistic, impressive kind of playing. They used to call it musical gymnastics. The really, you know, like the really intense people like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Yes, and I mean, my God, Yes, Relayer, come on. I mean, that album couldn't get on the radio either.
No.
Yeah, that album couldn't even get on the radio, and they were popular with Roundabout. The DJs were going, "What can I play? I can't play Sound Chaser."
Hey, they ran it back. They reined it in. Going for the One brought everything back home.
Well, there you go. But that's the same year as this, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, there was a tilting point where the prog was going to start to go away, even though it wasn't called that back then. We can just take that understanding that we don't have to use this thing about it wasn't called prog then. It doesn't matter. It is now to us, so we can just say it. The prog was disappearing in 77, and you can see it in bands like Gentle Giant, where they were pushing a different sound. I bet you thought we couldn't do it is a punk rock song because it came out at the time of punk rock. And the fans hate that song. Even to this day, they hate it. But the rest of the album's really good. And I don't have a problem with that song, actually. But most of the fans do not like that song. Then there's Genesis, you know. In 77, they just released that live album, Seconds Out. And then they're going to have a tilting point in the next album. And then there were three, you know, where the prog is going to start disappearing. So it just happened all across the board. The programmers and the managers and the promoters and everybody was saying, we need to sell tickets. We need to sell records. This weird music.
Did you hear that?
Sell.
Did you hear that? We just had a big, oh my God, we just had a big lightning strike or thunder right outside here. We're having like a thunderstorm, Rand. It's like crazy right now.
Wow.
Anyway, keep going. Sorry. Did you hear it though? Could you hear it?
I'm having a blue sky 102 degrees.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we're having rain, so I'm sorry, but I'm
any,
going, shit, I almost crap myself.
well, anyway, my point is that I guess I got a point somewhere, but Rain Dances teetered on pop, rock, or regular rock and prog. It's a balance. I think it's like 50-50 on this album,
Is
but
it
it
their
changes
peak?
as we go along. The prog disappears, and you can see it happening in the next few albums. But let's just talk about the songs, okay?
Go ahead.
The first tune is an instrumental. Now, when you open up your fifth album with an instrumental, you have to have a lot of confidence, you know, in who do you think it's going to appeal to. And First Light, if you're a Mini Moog fan, like this thing over here, it's just amazing. Pete Bardens just he knows the right tones to use for Mini Moog solos.
Brilliant.
And it's pretty much the whole piece is a Mini Moog solo with melodies. There's a lot of 12-string guitar in the background. Andy had one of those double neck Gibsons, But my God, I love First Light. I think it's just got a really cool melody. Da 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 da. It has a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's really appealing, and it sounds happy. It's not a minor chord on it. I think it's mostly major chords. And so you get through that, and then there's a song called Metronome, which is sung by Richard. This is the first time we hear Richard do the lead vocal. And this is a really cool tune. It's got a lot of time changes in it because it's called Metronome, so it's going to have a lot to do with time. And then that just rips, and you can hear the fretless bass all over this album. It's everywhere. And there's Tell Me, which is a really soft lullaby type ballad. It's just gorgeous, you just kind of get sucked in. And then there's Highways to the Sun. Now this is where they're going to try to appeal to the radio. They're going to try to do a bump 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 kind of a straight ahead rock song, pop
Thing.
song. I
Mhm.
love Highways to the Sun. It's beautiful. It's kind of about pretending that you're flying around in a saucer. Uneven Song is really strange. I mean, it is like just it's almost jazz fusion. It's definitely instrumental. And one of these days I'll get an early night. It's just basically a jam. It's not, it's not complex or anything. It's got a good, uh funky type beat behind it. There's a lot going on. But again, uh these two songs are instrumentals. You got Elkie, which is just basically Brian Eno and Andrew Latimer just playing flute and really mellow keyboards. Just a beautiful song. I remember, when I lived at my grandmother's house, she was walking by my room and I had Elkie playing, and she never used to say much about my music. And she said, "That sure is pretty." And it is. Elkie is awesome. Skylines is the best song on this album. I love this tune. It's all instrumental,
But
and
there's a lot of
Andrew Latimer
instrumentals on
plays
here, though.
bass. Yeah, I know. And
Well,
Andrew
well, let
Latimer
me.
plays bass
Well,
on
before
this.
we go any further, though, I have a question, though.
All right.
Don't you think that they could be perceived with so many instrumentals that maybe the band was running out of material?
Well, all their albums had a lot of instrumentals.
Just
The first
saying.
four had instrumentals.
Yeah, but a lot
The,
like
the,
this,
the
there's a
very
lot
first,
on here.
the very first song on Moondance is an instrumental, or it still is. And Mirage has instrumentals, Earthrise, and what's the other one? A lot of that procession Nimrodel stuff. There's no vocals. I almost said there's no volcanoes. There's no vocals until they get to White Rider.
There's no there's no volcanoes on this record.
There's no volcanoes. But yeah, I mean, yeah, and uh, uh, I can't remember some of the tunes, and I put those
That's all
away.
right. No
But
biggie.
but anyways, the first album's got instrumentals, Arubaluba, or whatever it is called,
Rand, say that real fast.
Arubaluba. But anyway, there's no vocals on that, and there's
Right.
6/8. There's no vocals on that. So, like I said, they're used to doing instrumentals, and I don't know if it's because they don't have a lot of confidence in Andrew Latimer's and Peter Bardens and Doug Ferguson's vocals. I can't really
I don't,
say.
I don't, I
I
don't
don't
know if
know.
that's it.
I think Andy sounds fine when he sang Lady Fantasy. I was in. I thought it was great. But yeah, my favorite tune is Skylines, just because of the whole beat of that. And it's hard to play. And Andrew had to play bass on that. Richard said that he was treated kind of crappy about that because they wrote Richard Sinclair AWOL,
Where was he?
absent without leave. Well, I think Andy just wanted to do that. According to Richard, Andy just wanted to do the bass part. And Richard, I don't know, was out getting a sandwich or something. But anyways,
So, probably out with
I
Patty
don't know.
Boyd or something.
It's just one of those days where they probably didn't call him up and say, "Hey, we're doing a recording today," and he had this tune and he already had the bass part down. I think it's fretless, but I'm not sure. That's a really complex bass part though. And it says bass Andrew Latimer right on the credits. So and then after that comes Rain Dances, which is another instrumental, and it's very somber, very minor key. Pete Bardens seems to be in charge of this whole thing,
It
and it
seems
only
like
goes
a,
about
yeah, it
yeah,
does.
it's like a it's like a pulsing thing, and it's really pretty. It's really beautiful, and it's less than 3 minutes long. This isn't a very long album. If you buy this one, I've got with the bonus tracks, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
Yeah,
extra
there's a lot. Well,
songs
you get
on the
Highways of the Sun, single edit. You get
yeah,
BBC stuff on this. The
First
esoteric
Light.
the esoteric CDs are really,
You get a live version of
really.
Skylines, which is a little bit longer.
Well,
And
let me ask you this real quick. Well,
yeah,
what's your thoughts of Mel Collins' work on this record?
oh yeah, I forgot about him. He is in this on this. They don't have a picture of him, but he's definitely on it. Well, he ends up on things like one of these days I'll get an early
He's on
night.
Rain
And,
Dances for one.
yeah, great sax player. I'm
Yeah.
not a big sax fan, but I do like Mel. And Mel and I share the same birthday, September 5th. So,
Well, he wasn't King Crimson, so
oh, he's one of my favorite
I'm
sax
just
players.
saying, Rand, and
Crimson.
you love King Crimson.
I just listened to Lizard the other day. He's incredible.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyways,
I mean, for what
Mel's
he's
great.
on, I think he's a nice added. His work stands on its own. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say.
Well, I'm thinking this is a really good album. I have no qualms about giving this a 9.
I would give this a 9 as well.
Yeah, I mean it's so good. It's
It's
like
not a perfect record. I might give it a 9.5. I think this might be the peak.
I think you're right. I think that after this, you're going to hear. Well, they're about to go through some major changes anyway, because Richard Sinclair's only going to be on the next album, and he's going to split, and they're going to get a guy named Colin Bass,
Oh no.
who is incredible. I mean, he's been a mainstay for 40 years or so, but he's really good. And his singing is really, really good. I would venture to say his vocals are at least as good as Richard Sinclair's. A very good bass player too, and he can play fretless. And he would, but we'll talk about him when he shows up. Anyways, I
Anyway,
think we
so
should
I'm
move
going to give it
along.
a 9.5. Let's move on to Breathless. So
Okay.
that's a
Well,
six.
I'm
Go
giving
ahead.
it a 9 because I don't want to be a changer.
No, because I don't think they ever beat that record. I think that's the peak.
Okay, so a year later in 1978, we get this, and I know you're going to do the
Yeah, I'm going to put the graphic up, but this is
yeah.
the
This is
last
Breathless
album with Pete
with Richard Sinclair
Bardens.
and Pete Bardens. Absolutely,
End of an
absolutely,
era.
yeah. And I have the Japanese Darum But the thing about this album, they're purposely trying to appease,
Of course.
I think, the record company,
100%.
because they're shoving the real complex, crazy music out the door. Here's some information. Check this out. This is what you get on the Japanese CD.
Yeah. See, I don't have that. I've got the
absolutely nothing. And
what
then
one do I
you get
have?
this. Then you get this big poster here. Let me see what this does. I've always wondered about this. And this says Camel Fantastic Traveler. And it's got the Mirage kind of thing. Oh, it's just Japanese, talking about different bands other than Camel.
That must have been the budget line CD. It has nothing in it.
I don't know. This is okay. So this is, yeah, you're right. Mel Collins is on this again. They kept him.
Yeah,
but this is what you get in the Japanese CD. All the lyrics are in the center, and you have to have a magnifying glass to read them.
Now the one that I have.
Now, see, I like this album.
I've got the Esoteric CD.
Oh yeah. Did that give you bonus tracks?
The Esoteric CD, it's got a bonus track, Rainbow's Edge, the single version.
Well, I bought this in, it says 1978. Of course, it can't be because there weren't CDs in
1878.
I bought this when you could get these Japanese CDs at a reasonable price. I don't know what year. Maybe it was around 90 or so, or 85. I don't know, one of the other. But these songs are different than what's on Rain Dances. This is a conscious decision, I think, to make it more wider spectrum for the fans that loved them anyway, but also gathering new fans.
Well, yeah, prog was petering out, if you want to call it prog, and everything changed around this time.
There's one prog song on here, and I'll get to it in a second, but Breathless opens up, and it's just sort of, I can't even remember. It's so innocuous. It doesn't punch you in the gut or anything like that. It's just kind of pretty. It's kind of like First Light with vocals. I don't know how to explain it, but Breathless it was never going to be a hit single. But you know what I mean? But they chose to open the album with this. I think they were trying to shoot for the same kind of, well, we don't want to blow anybody away, so let's just give them kind of a normal song for Breathless. And then Echoes comes on, and Echoes is incredible. I mean, this is like full out rock fusion intro for the longest time, and then finally it kind of works its way into kind of a regular song with lyrics, and it's not heavy and it's not complex anymore. The most complex part is the opening and the closing. But in the middle it's all sort of normal, but it's long. It's like 8 or 9 minutes long, I think. Let me see if it says, no, you don't get the times. Typical Japanese CD.
Which one? Which song?
Echoes. It's the second
Echoes
track.
is 7:19.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the longest song on the album. And it just rips. I mean, I love Echoes. I obviously think it's the best song on the album. But Wing and a Prayer, after that, is da 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 Wing and a Prayer. Just real kind of happy kind of sounding. It's almost like Caravan. That's one thing about this album that I really realized. Except for the song Echoes, the rest of the album sounds kind of like Caravan.
Yeah.
And when they toured, when I got to see them tour, Bardens had left. So they had Richard Sinclair on bass, like normal, like the other album. But then they brought in his cousin, David Sinclair, from Caravan. And then they also brought in Jan Scheles from Caravan, who played keyboards on a couple of Caravan albums after Richard Sinclair had left the band. So Jan Scheles ended up on on first time I heard him was on an album called Blind Dog at St. Dunstan's. And that was, I think, about 1975, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, here you had two Sinclairs on stage when we saw them in San Jose, and we were calling them Caramel. But it was great. But then you got Down on the Farm, which sounds like a Hatfield and North song. The lyrics go out
Like,
so fast; it's hard to understand Richard's singing. You have to kind of read along with it if you want to. But
I thought it was Little Feat,
really,
Down on the
well,
Farm. That album, Down on the Farm, Little Feat.
uh, talking about a song, just a
I'm
song.
talking about, damn it, the damn track name.
Okay, but I'm just talking about where when you first hear it, there's this big Latimer kind of hard rock intro with chords that are really heavy, and then it kind of peters out into like nothing, and then Richard starts singing, and it's like da 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 da. I mean, there's no time to breathe. I don't know how he does this song, but it's just like overwhelming to some people. A lot of people hate it, but it's just a simple chord progression. Sounds kind of like the kind of thing you'd hear from Whiter Shade of Pale or God Give Rock and Roll to You. That kind of
A
chording.
little Argent reference for today.
Well, maybe, but it's not prog, and so it sounds like he did when he was doing Hatfield in the North when they were trying to do a commercial tune for the radio, and it turned out to be too progressive and it couldn't get on anyway. But then you got Starlight Ride, which is really mellow ballad. It's very pretty. There's a lot of taste going on in this album because it's a Camel album, right? So
Right.
nobody ever overplays. Nobody gets in the way of each other. Mel Collins is very tasty. It's just really good stuff, but it ain't what we consider prog. I don't think Breathless is a prog album. I think it has one prog song on it. And Summer Lightning is total disco. That's how the second side of the album opened up on the LP. Summer Lightning it's got that, and Andy Ward, the drummer, is playing like, where you play the hi-hat and you go to the snare like that,
Yeah.
real steady,
Mhm.
danceable, very danceable.
Like
It's
disco?
total disco. And most people hate it.
I don't hate it.
You Make Me Smile is really cool. You Make Me Smile. I just kind of like those kind of like, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of light, and they call it lilty or something like that. Lilty. Just, it floats like a butterfly. That's the only thing and then the Sleeper. I know I like the song, but I can't remember anything about it. And I heard it just recently. And then Rainbow's End is beautiful. Just another one of those beautiful ballad endings that this band does so well. And that's Breathless. And I mean, it's, it, they're trying to be.
You don't sound like you're as taken by this record, though.
I think they're trying to be like a British Steely Dan. No, I'm not as taken by Breathless as much as I am Rain Dances. That's for sure. I'm going to give this Breathless a 7.5.
See, I still like it, though. So
I don't
what if they're
hate
like
it.
it sounds like you don't like it.
Well, I mean, I don't like it as much as Rain Dances. I think 7.5 is fair. Maybe 8. Yeah, I'll give it an 8. What the hell? Let's keep them even for me. I give it a 9 and then an 8. Still a good rating. I mean, like I said, Echoes alone pumps it up over 6, I think. But
Yeah.
I love Echoes. That is the coolest song.
Well, I think that,
did.
it's got those jazzy interludes or shorter songs.
Yeah.
But look at Rush. They started making songs shorter and everything. Everybody was doing the same thing.
Well, when I'm thinking of their British Steely Dan, I think Mel Collins has a lot to do with that. Adding that saxophone in there really changes the sound of the band. And it's for the better. I'm not putting it down. Like I said, I don't like most saxophone players, but Mel Collins is one of my favorites. And that guy in the Happy the Man, uh, I think his name was Frank Wyatt. He passed away recently. He's also incredibly good. So they don't do that. They don't do that crazy high note, great on your ear kind of saxophone. I don't like that kind of stuff. Like, oh my God, that guy in Saturday Night Live every Saturday night would just blow that sax way up to hell and back.
Well,
Not a
let me
fan.
ask you this because I'm not too sure about this. Because obviously we're trying to go for more. They're taking a stab at writing pop songs. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Why did Pete leave the band? Did he not care for the direction that Andy was taking the band? What do we know? Do you know anything about why he
It's
quit?
really hard to find that out. I might be able to do a quick Google if you don't mind me doing that. Let me see.
I just thought
I got
maybe
to
you
see
knew off the cuff.
I got to see Pete Bardens solo in San Francisco with my friend Bill, and he was doing a different kind of music then. It was very, very different. Let me see here. I'll just do this real quick. Why did Pete Bardens leave Camel? Creative differences with Andrew Latimer, the band's
Mhm.
guitarist and songwriter. Specifically, they found their creative styles clashed in the studio,
Uh-huh.
with each struggling to incorporate the other's ideas, while other members like Richard Sinclair and Andy Ward also left around the same time. Barden's departure was primarily driven by this creative impasse with Latimer.
Yep, there you go.
That's it. That's from Google. Who
So
could musical difference?
I think it's a little bit different than what came before. I don't have any issues with them trying to branch out a bit. It just depends on how far you take it. Here, I have no problem with this record. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's
What
fine. I
really? You give Breathless a
Sure,
nine, huh?
sure.
Well,
There's
what about
nothing wrong with it.
remember when we did the show called Star Castle and they put
Yeah.
out that album called Reel to Reel? Wasn't that
Yeah, I
a
like
shocking
that.
change? Yeah, but it
Yeah,
was a
but
shocking change.
that record, I I don't know. It depends on how into Star Castle you are. I don't have a problem with that record because they're branching out and it just goes along with everybody else.
In a way,
And
you're right
I
because
think it is beaten on. I don't think it deserves the treatment that it gets.
Reel to Reel,
I mean,
it's the most original album they've ever done.
yeah.
I mean, the first three, if you're a Yes fan, you're gonna love them. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when Reel to Reel came out, it was like, this is what we really are. This is who we really are. But the problem I have with Reel to Reel, it's horribly produced. Doesn't sound, I mean, they went from Roy Thomas Baker to this other guy who I don't even remember who it is. I think it was Jimmy Ian or something like that. But he's just
Well,
not,
he
or
did
maybe
all the
Star Castle,
raspberry stuff.
maybe Star Castle tried to produce that themselves. I don't remember.
I'm
But
gonna look it up.
it,
Go ahead.
when you play that record for the first time, as I recall, I was expecting more of the same that I got in the first three
I
albums.
I knew that that
I
was a
was
departure, so I didn't have a problem with it.
I was disappointed because
Sure,
in those
there's no
days
okay.
I set myself up for disappointment. My grandmother once told me, "Don't expect things, and then you won't be disappointed."
100%. This was produced by Jesus, doesn't say. Matt, I see Bernie Grunman mastered it, but I don't want that. Um,
Should say.
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Anyway, we're not talking Star Castle. I don't have a problem with
Yeah,
that
we're getting a
record.
little. You can go on a rangent or a tangent or a
So
grangent or
yeah,
whatever.
I don't want to go too much over an hour. So we're gonna look at I Can See Your House from Here.
Yeah,
Is that what you want
right.
to talk about, or do you want to mention the
No,
live
this
record?
is this is it. Oh yeah, I could do that if you want. Yeah. So they after after Rain Dances, they did a tour just before Breathless and put this out, a live record. Now, the funny thing about this is half of it's the Rain Dances band, and the other part is the complete Snow Goose with the London Symphony Orchestra,
Well, what's wrong with
which
that?
nothing, but it's got Doug Ferguson on bass on those tracks.
Hmm.
Sounds incredible. I highly recommend this as a double LP.
Hmm.
Awesome album.
What would you rate that out of
It's,
10? I don't have
oh,
that one, so I
that's an
can't.
11.
An 11. Okay.
That's an 11 for a live album. No, it's a 10, but I'm just saying it's that good. They were great live. I saw Camel twice and fantastic band. Okay, so what happens here is Richard Sinclair, he's gone. Pete Bardens is gone, and they're left with Andrew Latimer, Andrew Ward on drums, and Mel Collins on sax.
Sax, yeah.
Now, Mel Collins is not listed as part of Camel on here, so I'm not even sure if he plays on this album.
He
And
plays
if he does,
alto tax. He plays an alto sax solo on it.
I can see your house from here.
Hmm.
Okay.
We got Phil Collins is also listed as percussion.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
We
will
got the
take your word
original
for it.
CD.
Yeah, I always buy the original. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, this guy here, this is a really cool looking album cover, I think. It's
Yeah,
an
it's cool.
astronaut hooked to a cross orbiting the Earth. But yeah, you got a new keyboard player named Kit Watkins from the band Happy the Man. And Happy the Man fans, which weren't very big amount of people, were just thrilled when they found out he was joining Camel. And Colin Bass on bass
Colin
and
Bass.
vocals. Colin Bass. And the first cut is Wait. I love Wait. Really fast song. I mean, the first thing that you hear is Andrew Latimer's guitar going wow, dun, dun, da, da, and he just wow on the string, and it's just great, you know. And then there's keyboard solos that are uh, thrown in there, real short ones. The first one's by Kit Watkins, the second one's by Jan Schelas, the third one is by Kit Watkins, and the fourth one is by Jan Schelas. And they go by so fast; it's like all done in like a minute.
So, how do you look at Kit
Wait,
Watkins? Did you like his
oh
work with
God,
Happy
he's
the
just
Man?
incredible.
So you look at him
That
as
guy,
a good addition to the band.
oh yeah,
Okay.
that guy has a way of playing a wah wah pedal running through a delay unit with a mini moog, and he can make it sound like a guitar where you can't even tell the difference. Right? Jan Hammer can do that too. But anyways, the first cut, wait, 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Burner. It's just great from start to finish. It's good. It's a good cruising track. If you want to make a playlist for driving, I definitely put Wait on there. And Your Love is Stranger Than Mine. Now, this is another one of these songs where, yeah, it looks like they're trying to go pop. There's no doubt about it.
But but how do you look at this track? Is it I mean, does it make you want to go into the corner and vomit?
Your love is stranger than
But
mine.
you
It's
can't they
it's
need to make money. They can't just do this prog thing and
I'm
make
not
any
putting them
money.
down. I bought the
Okay.
album.
Hey man, I don't know
I've
what
been
trip
listening to
you're
this stuff.
on.
I've been listening to this stuff for ever since it came out. You know, this is 1979, so you got to figure 41 years. No,
You're
46 years.
you're 100 years
I've
old.
been doing this. I've been doing this album for 46 years, man. This is an awesome album. I will
All
stand
right.
up for I Can See Your House from Here. I'm just telling you what the styles are like. Eye of
Okay.
the Storm is a Happy the Man song that was created by Kit Watkins for the third album called Better Late Than Never. and he decided to throw it on this Camel album. It's really good. A lot of keyboards. Who We Are, Andrew Latimer song, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Great rockin' tune. Nothing wrong with that. Survival, that's kind of like just a interlude for about 1 minute and 4 seconds. It's just trying to just put up an atmosphere, I guess. And then Hymn to Her is really pretty. And when I say hymn, it's Hymn.
Right.
And that was written by Andrew Latimer and Jan Schellaas. Neon Magic is pretty cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Good rockin'. There's a credit on here named McAuliffe. I don't know who that is, but it says Latimer, Schellaas, and McAuliffe.
I
Yeah,
don't know who
Magic.
that is.
It's really good. It's again the lead singing is Andrew Latimer, and
Well,
he's just trying to put out a rock song. I think
well,
it's just about London life, nightlife, and stuff like that.
well,
And then
Jill McAuliffe was an English singer, songwriter. She was the lead singer of the jazz fusion band Affinity and a touring member of Principal Edwards Magic Theater.
Martin talks about Affinity a lot. I was going to listen to them. I have them in my playlist, but I can't. I've never got around to it.
So that's who
Anyway,
that is.
the next cut is Remote Romance. Now this song gets a lot of crap from Camel fans. I happen to love it, but they use a lot of vocal tricks and stuff, and they try to make it sound like a robot singing. This is 1979.
Were they trying to
I think
do you think they're trying to do like a craft work kind of thing or?
Yeah, or a flock of seagulls or something.
Well,
But
this
they were ahead of
predates Flock
everybody
of
else.
Seagulls, though.
I know. I think they were ahead of those guys. And I really do like the track, by the way. Remote Romance. It's cool. And I think the reason Watkins helped write that with Latimer is because there's a Watkins album called Frames of Mind, which is the second solo album that Kit Watkins put out. And it's totally different than anything he had ever done or since. It's all new wave. It's strange music. It's very, like you said, it's like Kraftwerk, and Kraftwerk meets Devo meets Tangerine Dream kind of stuff. And Remote Romance sounds like it could have came off Frames of Mind. That's a crazy album.
I could see that.
When people think they can buy a Kit Watkins album, it's going to be a prog record. They're immediately shocked. I know I was, because I don't even have it anymore. I don't even remember if I bought it. I think I heard it on cassette one time from a friend, but that's a weird album. But anyways, the last cut is just absolutely gorgeous.
But what about Christopher Cross, Rand?
What about him?
Just throwing it up.
That's a masterpiece album. But Kit Watkins isn't on it.
I'm just trying to throw you off. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you threw me off all right.
No, that's right.
Ice.
Mm-hmm.
This song creeps up on you.
10 minutes.
Yeah, this song creeps up on you. It starts out with really pretty guitar. It's very, very solemn and sad sounding. It's in D minor, which is, as you know, from Spinal Tap,
the saddest of all keys.
That's right. And they just keep going D minor, B flat, C. It's almost like I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Same chords over and over and over. But the way they layer the guitar and the keyboards and the bass, it's just it just becomes a tour de force by the end. It's so emotional. It can put you into tears, and it has many times. I love this record. I think it's a big step up.
I'm moved to tears right
from
now.
Breathless. I think getting Kit Watkins was their secret weapon to get into this band.
Well, I think maybe
fresh out of Happy the Man, this guy can play anything.
Oh, probably. How do I want to say it? Breath new life into the band.
Breathed, yeah.
Breathe new light. Breathed
new life into the band. Absolutely, yes, you're right. Because, and this was produced by Rupert Hine, and he's done some Saga records.
Rupert Hine did he do Rupert
He did
Hine?
Saga
Did he do
Worlds
the
Apart.
fix?
Reach the Beach. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he
Maybe
did Reach the Beach.
I own that. I have it on cassette. I was in a band that played One Thing Leads to Another. But anyways, speaking of One Thing Leads to Another, this album's great. I Can See Your House from Here. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, that's where they went commercial, because it's just not true. I think they really balanced between the art and the wanting to make money.
But do
You
you
gotta
think that
eat.
okay, well, that's exactly my point. Is it better than Breathless?
Oh yeah,
You think
very
this is
much so.
better than Breathless?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well,
I'd probably give
that's
this
good.
I think I'd give this an 8.5.
Well, that's good. We don't have to agree on everything.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do. I would probably
Okay,
give this an
so
8. I don't think it's quite up to
I'm giving
Manager
I'm giving I
Breathless.
Can See Your House from Here. I'm
Come
gonna
on.
give it, what did I give Rain Dances?
Shit, I don't know.
9?
I think you gave it a 9. Because I
I'm
think I
limiting
gave it
myself.
an 8.5.
I'm limiting. No, you gave it a 9.5.
I gave that no, that I didn't give it a 9.5.
I
Did
think you
I?
did.
Maybe I
Mhm.
did. Go ahead.
Rewind the tape. Rewind the tape.
Let me rewind it.
Anyways,
I don't think
I
this is as good as Breathless.
I think it's better than Breathless. I
Okay.
think I don't think it's as good as Rain Dances, but I think it's better than Breathless. Breathless. You'll
All
see
right.
how it'll all work out.
What's
I'm
your
going to give
score
this
then?
an I'm going to give this an 8.5.
All right. That's fair enough. It's fair enough.
Of course, it's fair enough. It's my opinion.
Well, Rand, we've went an hour.
I know it's amazing. Wasting time talking about things. This is my I can't get the label off.
You don't want, why would
Dude,
you want to get the label off?
I hate those things. I like to look at the cover.
Well, take the
But
jewel, take the
I
damn
think
booklet off.
I think I still have the LP of this. I'm okay. But anyway, this is London Records, which is really Durham. They were
Same thing.
with Durham forever. But anyways, this is their first concept album,
Mm.
start to finish. There's a story here. It's like Dark Side of the Moon. If you want me to speed it up, I'll do that.
Well, I only want to go an hour, so
Okay.
I'd speed it up. If
Well,
you're
I
going
was
to
a
keep
little late.
going.
I was a little late
All
coming in.
right, we'll keep going.
Okay, so City Life, nice opener, cool, fretless. It's a nice way to wake up in the morning, especially if you're going to go traveling somewhere. I always put City
100%.
Life on before I got in the car. Nude, drafted. Docs is absolutely killer. And it comes from Kit Watkins.
God,
But
I
he
was just
doesn't
looking.
play on this album.
I
It's
don't want.
Duncan.
I don't want to interrupt, but I was just looking at the length of the songs on this record.
They're
My
short.
God, the songs are short.
I know.
Anyway,
Because
sorry. I
it's one
just
big it's one big movie. It's a concept.
mhm.
And Mel Collins is on this again.
Yeah.
But the guy that plays Kit Watkins' song Docs is a guy named Duncan McKay. And he's really good. So anyway, there's these songs on here and stuff. And I want to move the show along. You don't want to be too long. But I really love Nude. I think Nude's a great album. No problem with it whatsoever. Sounds awesome. Colin Bass is all over it. Fretless bass up the yin yang on this. And Andrew Latimer is just Andrew Latimer.
You know what I find funny about
Excellent.
this is that people do not recognize this album as a concept record. Because think about when it came out. Who was really doing concept albums around this time? 19,
1981.
1981?
Yeah.
I do know this that Stephen Wilson wrote an article for Classic Rock magazine. He included Newt as one of the top 10 mind-blowing concept albums that people may have were unaware of. What do you think of that?
That's awesome. I love almost everything about Stephen Wilson. He's incredible. Uh, I'm going to
What
change.
did people think when this came out, though? What were the thoughts all about this record?
Oh, those guys.
Or just critics in general? What did people think?
They were all saying, oh, here it is. We're in the height of the punk rock new wave movement. And the bands like this can't get arrested. Why would they do that? This is artistic suicide, financial suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And the Camel fans are going, great, another Camel album. Boom, buy it. Auto purchase.
Do you
I'm
think
going to
it
change my
went?
ranking. I'm going to
Go
change my
ahead.
ranking to Rain Dances. Give it a 10.
Okay. What? But even though we've got Kit on board, do you find that
Kit's not on this album.
when he wrote,
He quit the band. He's
okay,
only on
but
I Can See Your House from Here.
okay, but do you think when Pete left the band, do you think that hurt them with the fan base?
Well, that's hard to say. Not me, not personally, but
Well, I'm just asking.
uh, I don't remember anybody saying, well, I'm not listening to Camel anymore because Pete Bardens isn't there.
But he was such a big part of it.
I was in a small little niche. You got to understand. The prog fans in Eureka, California were like about six of us, and we all knew each other. Nobody else cared. So when we got together and listened to music, we listened to prog all the time. Well, hard rock too. I mean, I got turned on to all kinds of bands, but I'm just saying, when this came out, the Camel fans rushed out in droves to buy this. Nobody else did. And so
Well,
it
the other
probably
thing that
just
I read was
charted.
All
It
Music
probably
Guide
didn't
was.
even chart.
I did read about something about this that said that this record, although it doesn't come close to Mirage, okay, compared to a lot of other quote unquote progressive rock bands at the time, they could. Camel was doing stuff that was so much better than those other bands that were doing a similar thing, that they could not even come close to the quality of the songwriting, the production, the songs, just whatever they were doing, even though they're doing short 3-minute songs. Do you
Well, I
agree
don't
with
think
that?
Decca marketed them correctly. Especially from the beginning, I don't think they got the proper marketing. They should have built them up more, had posters and stuff like everywhere and stuff like that. And,
Well,
and
they
it
probably
turns
didn't know what
out
to
that
do
they
with
did.
them at this period. What are they
Yeah,
going to
I
do with
know.
them?
They're like, by the time 81 came around, and as we'll see in part three, what happens is there's another concept album in 1984 called Stationary Traveler. And that's about the iron living behind the Iron Curtain. And they made a movie of that in their DVD, Pressure Points Live. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing thing. Very gutsy. This band never shied away from controversial things. They just went in full force on whatever they wanted to do. It was Andy's project. He's the guy that runs it. But also you've got another lady on here named Susan Hoover, who he's living with, and he still does, and they never got married. She is a major part of the big change in Camel when this comes around, 1981.
So
I
this
met
would be
Susan
his
Hoover.
Oko Yono? Kinda.
No, she's
Come
no, she's
on.
awesome.
She had that much influence? Come on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she helped write a lot of the
Okay.
lyrics and stuff like that over the
So it's
years.
more like
She's been a major. She's like his own. You could say like Sharon Osbourne, like
mhm.
Jet Records kind of thing. But they, I'll get to it when we get to the next show. I'll probably
All
pull
right.
out the big box set Airborne and show everybody
Pull it
how
out and
much I'm
show
into
everybody.
them.
Well, we know you have a sickness, Rand.
Oh man, the curse is real, according to
It
Pete
is
Pardo,
real. 100%. We've said
my
that
buddy
over and
Pete.
over again.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, this is just a show wrapping about Camel. these records, there's nothing wrong with these records. They're just a little bit different than what
Yeah,
you're
I don't
looking
dislike any of it. I'm just
for.
saying you have to rate. You don't have to, but I guess we do. We
Well, what
rate
would
them
you
as we
rate it?
like them, and
Yeah.
I would just to do that. What we usually do, I would do. And I'll go first, I guess. I'll
I don't have
go.
a problem with this record. I think probably it might even be a little bit better, I think, than.
I'm going to rank the four. Okay, Grant.
Yeah, go ahead.
Breathless,
Hmm.
4. Nude, 3.
Yeah.
I can see your house from here, 2. Rain dances, 1.
Yeah, I'd go Rain Dances and then Breathless and then mm, I Can See Your
Wait,
House from Here.
you're starting with 1. Rain dances is
Yeah, I'm
your
going
number
with
1.
that's number
Okay, I
one.
gotcha. I went
Then
backwards. Okay,
Breathless, and then I'd go Nude, and then I'd go I Can See Your House from Here.
that's
But
fair. It's
it's
all good
just
stuff.
nitpicking. It's
Like trying to.
nitpicking.
This is like trying to rate or rank the Alan Parsons Project albums. I mean, God, they're all so good. How are you supposed to,
It's
you
an
know,
impossible task.
tear them? If everything's up to 7 or 8, I mean, what are you going to say?
Right.
All, all you can do is rave about what you like.
Well,
Anyway,
everybody,
you're right.
all this show is just to try to turn you onto some Camel stuff. You
Yeah.
really can't go wrong with any of this stuff so far, but we're in 1981. So next we will be looking at the next four. What? The single factor? That's
Yeah,
82.
that's 82. I got that
Station
wrong. Stationary Traveler's 84. Okay, got it. You're right.
84, Stationary
Single
Traveler,
factor. Yeah.
Dust and Dreams in 91,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Harbor of Tears. Well, that's
Oh,
96. Are
beautiful
we going to
album.
go that? Are we going to talk about that one?
Yeah. Harbor of Tears is awesome. It's about his father uh, uh, getting on this boat from Ireland and working his way to England.
Do you look at this as a
That's
real
another
Camel
concept
album,
album.
though?
So they keep putting out uh, concept albums. A single factory is not a concept album. It's just songs,
Okay.
great songs, lovely songs. But Stationary Traveler is a concept album. Uh, Harbor of Tears is a concept album, and I think Rajaz is too. Rajaz is awesome. That may be one of their coolest albums ever, and it just came out of the blue.
I'm looking at the single factor, and it doesn't look like it got very good reviews.
Yeah, because they tried to be really commercial.
Get it? But yeah,
Again,
Tony Clark is producer,
we'll get into
co-producer.
that when we get
All
going
right,
on it.
cool. All right, everybody, go check out some Camel Report back. Um,
Absolutely.
I want to thank Rand for coming on and
Thank you.
shooting the shit.
Love doing this
Always
stuff.
good to have Rand here. I will send you out some dates shortly for the next show.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, I don't really have anything else to mention. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, you're gonna hate it when I say it.
Go ahead.
I'm really hurting for a prog listening party, buddy.
Well, you keep asking.
Is that does that turn you
It's
on?
when you don't ask is when you might have it.
Oh, is that the way we do it now?
Mm-hmm. It's where
I
we've
see.
always done it.
Well, I was raised on squeaky wheel gets the grease. Maybe not.
I have to feel it.
You can edit that out if you want.
No, I leave it all in, Rand.
You are all in or nothing. Huh?
That's right. I don't know.
You gotta start.
I just have to feel it. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I know that. But I had that thought about the 70s show this Sunday that it'd be cool if he went all prog.
Yeah.
Because there's so much good prog out of the 70s.
Eh,
It's really where it all came from, really.
but I have to be in the
It'll
mood
never
for
be,
prog.
that'll never happen again. That run from 67 to 78. It'll
Mhm.
never happen again. It was a one time thing.
We could do a yes listening party.
Oh, God, I'm in. I'm in.
I might
Any
do
era.
that. Anything you'd want.
Oh my God, that'd be great. What talk about what's that, 27 albums?
Well, you'd have to narrow it down for a 2 hour show.
Yeah. Well, then there's a lot to choose from, is what I was saying.
Mm.
I have my favorites.
Oh, I know. All right. I'm going to wrap this dog up. I want to thank Rand for coming on, talking some Camel. We will see you back, I don't know, sometime next month, talking more Camel. So please like, subscribe, check out Rand's channel. He's over there playing keyboards a lot.
Yeah, I'm still stuck at
He's
680.
still stuck at 680. Well, you got to step things up, Rand.
I don't know how.
You got to, people just don't want people just sitting around playing synthesizers. You got to have a,
Yeah, I'm going to
produce a
play my new
program.
Ibanez guitar. I'm going to
Play
be
the
making a video
Ibanez.
with new Ibanez guitar pretty
Yeah,
soon.
the new old Ibanez guitar.
I gotta go on. I'm traveling tomorrow, so
Well, we don't expect a video from Rand tomorrow then.
no videos between now and Sunday. I don't think.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. I
Bro.
got things to do. Rand, it's been
Okay.
a pleasure. Keep it clean.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
And I'll be in contact.
Okay, take care.
See ya.
Bye.